We welcome you to The Future in Autism, sponsored by Future Horizons, world leader in conferences and resources on Asperger's and autism. All of our speakers that we'll be bringing to you in the coming weeks are experts who not only give great information, but care about our kids. Welcome to today's show. Hello, Temple. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine.
I understand we are reaching you in the great city of Atlanta, where you just gave a talk. How did everything go?
Oh, it went really super well. Lots and lots of questions.
Good. Temple, you are a college professor and a world leader in the field of animal handling, working particularly with cattle. Yet you were also diagnosed as having some of the characteristics associated with autism. How did you overcome this challenge to be so successful?
First of all, I want to emphasize the importance of early educational intervention. I had excellent schooling by the time I was 2 and a half. I was in a wonderful speech therapy program. I had a nanny that taught me turn taking. We've got to teach these little kids how to take turns. We've got to teach them how to do things other people ask them to do. When I was little, we played a lot of board games. And then when I was in high school and I was a goof-around student and just having a lot of problems, I had a great science teacher who got me interested in science. You know, these mentors are very important. I'm finding that a lot of these students that are successful, there was a teacher, like in high school, maybe in college, maybe somebody out in the workplace that taught the kid a skill, like computer programming or industrial design or journalism, or some other field.
Gotcha. Temple, everyone knows there's been a huge increase in the number of children diagnosed with autism. Why do you think we are seeing this increase?
Some of it's just increased diagnosis. The Asperger's, which is the mild autism, they have always been here. Today, Mozart, Einstein, Thomas Jefferson, and a number of other people would be diagnosed either with Asperger's or with autism. The engineering, you go out in the tech companies, it's all full of, mild Asperger's people. That's what enables you to have computers and things like cell phones. But where I think there's been a true increase is some of this regressive autism, where the kid seems to be normal, and then at 18 months to age 2, they lose language. And I think that segment actually has increased.
I see. I understand that one of the speakers with you today was Dr. Jim Ball, and he was speaking on early diagnosis. Did you and Jim talk about that very much, or do you have any thoughts about how to be diagnosing a child early?
Well, the first thing is, do you have delayed speech? Mother realized when I was 2 years old that I was not behaving like the little girl next door who's the same age. So you have delayed speech. The child doesn't interact with you. The child just sits and stims and rocks. There's a lot of tantrums. The child might appear like he's deaf once you've ruled out deafness. You have a child, it's obvious. A young autistic child is obvious. Don't wait. The worst thing you can do with a young autistic child that's 2 or 3 years old, maybe 4 or 5 years old, is nothing. You need to work with them on early educational intervention like now, and have at least 20 hours a week with a really, really good teacher, one-to-one.
Now, there's another section of the actual autism spectrum called Asperger's syndrome. How would you first diagnose a child that has Asperger's syndrome, and usually at about what age?
Well, Asperger's syndrome, the child is when he's 2 and 3 and 4 years old. He seems to be fine, maybe kind of a bit precocious. Then in 3rd or 4th grade, he doesn't seem to have any friends. The thing about the Asperger kids is we've got to work on developing their area of strength. And the same thing with the high-functioning autistic kid. I was good at art. Everything was done to address my ability in art and encourage my ability in art. Child likes trains, teach reading with trains. Teach history with trains. Take that thing the kid's fixated on and broaden it out into things that can turn into hobbies and turn into careers.
Okay. Temple, you often hear the term high-functioning autism and you hear the term Asperger's syndrome. Can you tell us what some of the differences are, or are they so close that it's really hard to be telling?
Well, the problem with these diagnostic categories is they're not precise, like diagnosing something like tuberculosis. If a child has speech delay, obvious speech delay, and then the other autistic behavior, then it's autism. Asperger's is no obvious speech delay. It's just a milder variant. And then there's a point where Asperger's just becomes geek or nerd or engineer. Autism is a continuum, going from brilliant scientists and engineers and computer programmers down to somebody that remains nonverbal.
Okay. Temple, some of the people listening to this program today are probably going to be educators, some in regular classrooms, some special ed. If you could give 3 or 4 tips to educators, what would they be?
Well, the first thing is, autistic and Asperger minds are specialist minds. I'm a visual thinker. I think in photorealistic pictures. I'm really, really bad in algebra. Some of these kids need to skip algebra, go to geometry and trig. Another kind of specialist mind is a pattern thinker. They're really, really good at music and math, but they may have problems with reading. And then the third kind is kind of a word fact mind. They know all of these verbal facts. They're not a visual thinker. Develop the area of strength. And I talk about this a lot more in my book, Thinking in Pictures.
Okay.